Good evening, ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties. This is Alex, coming at you from the underworld, and welcome back to another episode of... Before I get started, I want to say Happy 4th of July, everyone. Also, I understand that the coronavirus is still going on, so for that reason, a lot of celebrations have been hindered. But if you do find yourself in a large group of people, or just any group in general, be sure to wear a mask and social distance, because I do not want you to catch this crap whatsoever. Also, if you're a drinker, be sure to have a designated driver. In the past, I've lost loved ones in regards to people who had been driving under the influence, and I really don't want to lose anyone else for that reason, so totally be considerate to yourself and others during this time. And with that being said, let's go in and jump into what you can expect from this weekend's video, which last weekend I explained that this week was going to be pretty hectic, so I was not going to be able to give a lengthy book review, but I did want to do a video nonetheless. And so I decided to compile a list of books that I look forward to reading. And with these titles, some of them are out of print, but I think you could probably find them on like eBay or Thrift Books or just a bookstore that's a used bookstore in general. So those are going to be kind of hard to find, but for the ones that are still available, I'm going to provide links to those in the description section of this video. So if you want to read those with me, I'm going to give a date of when I plan to start each of those books, so maybe we can sync up if you decide to read them with me. But without rambling any further, let's go on and get down to what books I look forward to reading. Alright, the first book that I have is Halloween Horrors, and this is an anthology where all of the stories are obviously about Halloween. Now, this version is out of print, but it is available in a different version called October Dreams, and even though we have the name change and the cover change, from my understanding, the content is exactly the same. And with this, we have stories that have been contributed by Ray Bradbury, Poppy Z. Bright, Hugh B. Cave, Ramsey Campbell, Douglas Clegg, Dean Koontz, and truth be it, the list just continues from there. And aside from the stories that are contributed to this book, we also have where the authors have shared their fondest Halloween memories. And so this just seems like a fun book in general. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, but it's totally time for me to go in and sit down and read this, which I plan to do in September so I can review it for October. And if you would like to join me in reading this, I have provided the link for October Dreams in the description section of this video. Okay, the second book is Amityville Horror. Now, even though I've seen the movie to this a million times, I've never read the book, so I hope that doesn't diminish my street cred. Now, even though this is supposed to be nonfiction, at a very early age when I saw the movie, I called bullshit right away, and I simply just enjoyed it as nothing more than a horror movie. And I am going to try to enter this book with an open mind, but I just tend to think that this should be enjoyed as nothing more than a horror story, and I hate to be that jerk who kind of discredits people's claims and everything, but I honestly think that this will be a great work of fiction to read. But I do plan to review this for my nonfiction November month, which is something I've planned to start this year. And pretty much during that month, I'm going to be reviewing nothing but books that claim to be nonfiction and see if I still think they're nonfiction by the time I'm done with them. And with the Amityville Horror, you can easily get your hands on a copy of this by print, ebook, and audio. So if we would like to read this together, feel free to get a copy because I will have the link available in the description section of this video. And I plan to probably start reading this around maybe the end of October. So that's what I plan to do, and hopefully we can read it together and have a good time. The next book I have is The 12 Frights of Christmas, and this is an anthology that has been composed by Isaac Asimov. And this is the second anthology I've read by him, which the first one was The 13 Horrors of Halloween. And I really enjoyed that book because it felt like it was very nostalgic. Like, there was just a lot of fun that I had with it, and as soon as it was over, I wanted to reread it again, but I understood I had to read other books. And I discovered that this book existed a few months later, which as soon as I discovered that, I slammed my money down. And I do know that this is out of print, but it is available on Thrift Books and eBay, so maybe you can get a copy like that. And with the authors who are included in this anthology, we have Ramsey Campbell, Robert Bloch, H.P. Lovecraft, H.G. Wells, Robert Louis Stevenson, and the list really continues from there. So we have what is the equivalency of a baker's dozen of stories, and each of these are supposed to be supernatural, murder mystery, and I'm really hoping that I get the same nostalgic feel with this that I did with the 13 Horrors of Halloween. So if you can get your hands on a copy of this, I plan to maybe start reading it the week of Thanksgiving so I can review it in December. The next book is Great Irish Tales of Horror, and this is an anthology edited by Peter Hanning, which, as I was going through the index, I was unfamiliar with a lot of the author names in this, so I feel like I'm going to be introduced to a lot of really cool authors. But the names that I did recognize was Bram Stoker, Joseph Sheraton Le Fanu, which last St. Patrick's Day I had reviewed Joseph Sheraton Le Fanu's book known as Carmilla, and I really totally love that, so I'm looking forward to his story in this. Also, I noticed there was a story by Neil Jordan, which I think is the director Neil Jordan, so that can be pretty interesting, I believe. But with this book, I really have no context on what to expect, except that this is just a collection of Irish horror stories. So I'm thinking we're going to find a lot of folklorish type of horror stories as well as ghost stories. And since I have a lot of Celtic blood in my family, this is something that I feel will be a fun read. And I'm probably going to start it in February so I can review it for St. Patrick's Day this next year. So if you can get your hands on a copy, Thrift Books and eBay might be your go-to since this is out of print. And with the price that I found this for on Thrift Books, it really wasn't a bad price. So you might be able to luck up and get a very inexpensive copy. The final book that I look forward to is David J. Michael's Death Tour. Now, I haven't read the synopsis on this, and I want to enter it being blissfully ignorant because I just want to be able to enjoy the surprise as it comes. And this is an out-of-print book, so getting a copy is hard to do, and some of the editions for this go for like $50, $60 online, which I just wasn't going to spend that on a book, but I kept looking around, and I discovered that this was available to purchase off of eBay, and it was with a few other books in the bundle, and the total for that was nothing more than 20 bucks. So yes, I slammed my money down for it and took advantage while I had the opportunity. And with this book, I really enjoy animal horror, which of course this is about alligators and such. And I really am looking forward to it because I feel like there's going to be a lot of blood and action, and it just feels like it's going to be pulpy. So these are all of the things that I love in a quick horror read, which I plan to start this sometimes in the summer. I'm not certain when yet. It honestly just kind of feels like a summer read. So I do plan to maybe start this, we'll say, June. Somewhere about there. So if you can get your hands on a copy, just know that I plan to start it in June and perhaps review it for July or even maybe the end of June, because I mean, it is a pretty thin book. So that is totally something that I'm looking forward to, and I hope that you can get your hands on a copy because this just looks kick-ass. While those are just a few books from my to-be-read pile, I promise you, those are not the only books I have to read. Between my library, Audible, and Kindle, I have well over 1,000 titles that I'm looking forward to reading. So I understand, yeah, you can't read them all, but damn it, I'm gonna try. And I might end up doing another video in the near future of my to-be-read pile a little bit more. But in the meantime, if you would like to share your to-be-read pile with me, just list it off in the comments section because I'd be interested to see what you have in your book list. So with that said, it is time to close out the video, which I would like to say thank you to Lisa G and Joseph Baylott for contributing to my Patreon. If you would like to contribute as well, the link to my Patreon is in the description section of this video, which for $5 a month, I'll give you a shout out at the end of my videos. And for $10 a month, I'll send you over one of my photos, which I do creepy photography on the side. So I'll send you one creepy photo a month, and I'll still give you the shout out at the end of each of my videos. If you're able to contribute, that's awesome. If not, hey, that's cool too. All I hope is that you continue to return to this channel so we can have fun together. And also, if you would like to connect with me on social media, links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are all in the description section, so feel free to hit me up. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, be sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell, because I have tons of more book reviews coming in the near future. Also, once again, happy 4th of July, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and until we see each other again, sweet nightmares.